artists, welcome to your dragon painting class. In front of you, you should have your blank canvas, a cup of water, a paper towel, a larger or smaller brush. Also be sure to have your dragon cut out and the pencil, so be sure to grab a pencil if you need one. Black paint, white paint, blue, red, and yellow. So your primary colors, blue, red, and yellow. Once you have all those materials, you are ready to start washing and drying your brush. If you do not have all those materials, you're welcome to pause the video and come back whenever you're ready. So we're going to swirl our two brushes in our cup of water and then pat them dry onto our paper towel, like so. We are going to start in the background before we put our dragon shape on top. You're going to grab your larger brush. You're going to add dark blue to your larger brush and a dot of black, just a tiny little drop of black on your brush. Pat some off. I think I dipped twice, so I got extra amount. But dark blue, your black. I am going to come up from the top of my canvas about this high and make a little bit of a U shape. So not too deep of a U. I'm gonna use that dark blue and black. I'm also gonna carry over the dark blue to the sides, black to the sides, the dark blue and black mix. Once I was done, I'm gonna paint this whole section from side to side with a dark blue and black mix. I'm gonna go back for a little bit more dark blue, so I have a good amount. So once you have this kind of smiley face or dip onto your canvas, you are going to paint all of this section underneath. So a little bit of dark blue, tiny bit of black, and you want it to almost be black, but you definitely want to see some of that blue in there too. And I'm going all the way from one side to the next, so dark blue, a dot of black, going side to side. Grab some of that black. I'll also in just a moment carry over some of my colors to the sides and to the bottom as well. But dipping my brush a little bit lower and coming back up, the same kind of shape as this with my black and my blue. And be sure to kind of get rid of those bumps. If you have any big bumps of paint, you can go over it to smooth it out. Also the sides, again, blue, black. Kind of tap some off on my paper towel. Had too much paint on there, it's dripping off my brush. So the left side all the way down, the right side all the way down, and then the very bottom of my canvas as well. Just kind of going side to side, covering up. Area. I'm going to go back and add in a little bit more on top. If you want, we still see a lot of white kind of showing through. Let it dry for a couple minutes and then go back and add another layer of black and blue on top so it covers your canvas a little bit better. I'm going to go over this line that I made earlier too. But you definitely want to go from one side to the next. Get the sides, get the bottom, go back for 2 coats. If you feel like you can still see a lot of that white kind of canvas peeking through. So I would probably go back and touch mine up in a bit. Once you're done, you do not have to wash and dry your brush. You can just dip into that blue paint again. You're gonna come up about an inch or so higher. So I'm gonna mark the sides. I'm gonna dip again. So I did to wash my brush, I just went back into the blue, came up about an inch on each side, and then dipped down a little bit, kind of following the same shape of this one. I'm gonna go back to more blue and paint all of the space just with blue on my brush. I didn't wash it, so there's still some black on there, but not too much. I'm going to come down into the black and blue just a little bit too. So I've made that line and then use my blue, kind of come down. I'm also gonna carry that blue off to the side, so I'll make a mark on the left side. I'll go over my black and blue mix a little bit too. So it doesn't look as stripy. There's an area where those two meet, they blend together. So make a line again on this side and carry it down a little lower as well. And again, if you wanted to let this dry for a minute or two and then go back and give it another coat, you can. Let me kind of focus this a little bit better. There we go. Go back and go from side to side, like so. All right, once you are done, you don't have to clean your brush, but you are gonna dip it into the white. So again, you don't have to clean your brush. I just dipped it into the white. It's gonna get a little bit tricky, so if you wanna watch first and then go ahead and do it, that would be great. So not all the way up, probably about this much space on the left side. I'm gonna mark it right here, so I have blue and white on my brush. And then a little bit higher and onto the right side, I'm gonna mark a little bit of blue and white. So this and this. And then I'm gonna come down almost into a V shape where these two meet. This is the center, so maybe a little bit off to the right. And I'm gonna also carry over this line work to the side and to the side. So again, I marked the left side, I came up and marked the right side, and I dipped down a little bit, and I dipped up a little bit, and this is a little bit over to the right. And then everything from here to here is gonna be a little bit of blue and white on my brush. And I am gonna keep that same swoopy where I kind of dip down. So it's blue and white. So we're going from dark to medium to our lightest area. And in a moment, I will go down into this medium blue in just a moment. But I want to get all this area covered. Make nice long lines from one side to the next. I like going from one side to the next. Nice long smooth lines. And I am going to come down a little bit into that medium blue so they're kind of working together at that point. Perfect. Like so. And if you wanted to paint the sides, carry it over, bring it down into that medium blue, and then same with the other side. Underneath that line, carry it over, and go into that blue. So I do have this amount of space on top. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine as far as sizing, but be sure you do have that lighter blue area. You have that medium blue, and then you have your darkest blue. And of course you can go back and give things another coat. So you can go back with your dark, with your blue and your black. You can go in there with your blue and white. What I'm gonna do is I am gonna give this some time to dry, about 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back, lay my dragon on top and start working on the fire and then my dragon. So be sure before you move on, the background is nice and dry. You don't see any shiny areas, and I'll be back in just a moment to show you the next step. All right, artists, let's continue on to our dragon painting. Once you have your background all set, and I did go back and I gave mine another coat of the blue and the black and the blue and the blue and the white. It just looks a whole lot better whenever I go back and kind of touch it up. But our next step is, washing our big brush, tapping it on the paper towel, grabbing some of your yellow. We are going to start some sparks off to the side. So water, yellow, And if you've never splatter paint before, you can do like a practice run onto your paper towel. But I'm gonna get some splattery areas down here to the left and to the right of my light blue. And all I do is just kind of flick back on my brush, and I do want my brush pretty wet, so they kind of disperse out, the yellow disperses out a little bit more. So some splatters here to the left and to the right. My yellow paint. Go back and get some more, so some water, some yellow, and again, you can do a practice run on your paper towel. Just be sure it doesn't get too messy because it can sometimes have a life of its own. About 3 or 4 inches above my canvas, so I don't know if you can see them too well, and you can add as much little areas as you want. So kind of working on this area right here. Once you're done, you can go back to your yellow paint and your big brush. If you need to wipe your hands off, you can. But all this space is gonna be yellow. Excuse me. Be sure you have a nice clean brush. You can go to yellow, and all this white space, I'm gonna go in there and paint it yellow. Be sure that your blue is nice and dry. And I am gonna kind of follow that same roundedness that we did down here to where there's a little bit of a dip down with my brush stroke. I do wanna kind of get the sides too. And I'll get kind of closer to my blue in just a moment, but paint all this area yellow. Like so. Painting the sides where it kind of folds over, and also the top. Perfect. Something like that. Once you're done, you don't have to wash your brush, just put your brush off to the side. You are gonna grab your dragon shape, and maybe just a little bit off to the right where that point is, you are gonna lay your dragon shape. So maybe just a little bit off to the right. You're gonna line up the bottom, bring this down to the bottom of your canvas. You'll hold your cutout with one hand, and you'll trace all the way around with your other hand, like so. Perfect. All right. And then once you're done with that, we are going to go back and kind of fill up the space a little bit more with some more fire, and if you want more splatter. But once you've outlined your shape, you can put your shape and your pencil off to the side. Then I'm going to go back and give this another coat of yellow. And then I'm also going to bring it a little bit closer to my dragon and inside the mouth. So it's kind of tricky, so if you want to watch this part, you can, and then you can kind of do it whenever you're ready for this step. But I'm going to go inside the mouth first with my yellow, and I create that V shape. I'm going to come upside the nose a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit to the left, and then I'm going to come up a little bit this way too. So it's kind of tricky, but I'm going in there and filling up my space a little bit more. So I kind of came from the bottom of the mouth and up, still kind of leaving a little bit of space right here, and then above the nose and out. Then I'm going to go in there and paint it all yellow. I'm just kind of extending my fire. Bring this in a little bit more. Kind of come out a little bit more too, like so. While I still have yellow on my brush, I'm gonna add a little bit of white to it too. I'm just gonna go over this area that has the blue underneath because I do want to kind of white out some of the blue that's peeking through. So I still had yellow on my brush, but I went back to white. Just kind of white out some of that area so I won't see it as much. I'm gonna let this dry for just a little bit. But I have a shape of the fire coming out of my dragon's mouth. And I'll work on the yellow and adding some more red once it's a little bit more dry. So I have white, I have yellow on my brush. The white just kind of whites out. Then I'm going to cover that up and let that dry for a little bit. And I still see the splatter areas a little bit to the left and right. If you lost some, this is a good time to go back and add some more splatter. Once I'm done with that, so I'm just gonna let that sit for a moment. I'm gonna go in there and paint my dragon all black. I'm gonna start with my small brush so I can outline the shape with black. So small brush black paint, and wherever you see the pencil line, I'm gonna kind of avoid that area of yellow for just a moment while it's drying. So that, go closer to the nose and inside its mouth. You might even give it a moment to dry before you do this with the yellow. There you go. And then I'm gonna use my big brush. So if you wanna wash and dry your big brush, and then paint it all black. So you want all that dragon to be completely black. I'm gonna use my big brush to paint it all black. If you feel like you can still see some of the blues in the background, you can always go back and give this a second coat. There's the black dragons. Perfect. We'll go in there and give it some spikes a little bit later. All right. I'm gonna wash and dry my big brush. I really want to get all that black off of it. I can even go in there and just kind of wrap my brush with my paper towel and get it all dry and clean. So if you want to take your paper towel, go around your brush, make sure all that black is off of it, because we are going to go back to our yellow, and I'm going to paint all that yellow again, so it kind of works together a little bit better. Feel like this part's still a little bit wet, I might add some white to it to kind of get rid of that. I'm kind of going in an up and down motion. I feel like this part's a little bit wet still, so if you wanted to give that some more time, go in there with more white and yellow to cover it up. And now I'm just kind of going in more of an up and down motion with my brush, with yellow and white. Kind of spurts of yellow fire coming out of its mouth. So now moving up and down, having them work together a little bit more. I would probably let this dry and then go back and do another coat, because as you can see, there's still a lot of blue peeking through, but we're also going to be putting a lot of red on top of it in just a moment, so that'll cover some of it up as well. So again, I would probably do another coat once it dries a little bit more, and just a bit. But once you are done with your yellow, if you wanted to add another coat, if there's still too much blue peeking through, let it dry and go back. But I'm just gonna keep mine moving on. I am gonna add some red to my brush. Maybe just tap it off on your paper towel a little bit. And again, coming out, almost like sun rays, I'm gonna add some red. So red, tap it on my paper towel, go in there and just kind of add some red, even maybe some closer to the mouth, just kind of sweeping out. Going over that line work. Ooh. Staying in that area. You can add as much red as you want. You can kind of go in there and cover up that blue too if you like. Go back to more yellow if you like. Just kind of going in there, just spitting out fire. So almost like a sun ray, I'm flicking out with red. And if you want to go back to yellow, you can go back to yellow as well. Perfect. There is a texture in the painting too where we're just kind of going back to more red and pushing down on our brush. So I'm just kind of using the side, going back to red, just kind of adding some kind of jumping movements with my brush, using the side of my big brush and just kind of jumping down, up and down. Again, I'm just kind of going out like the sun rays, up and down, side to side. You can always go back to more yellow. If you wanted to add more spurts in there, you could. So it's spurts of red and white. And then if you wanted to go in there and add some areas of just a little bit of red on your brush and just kind of jumping up and down. To create a little bit of texture, a little bit of bumpiness to the painting, you can. And again, if you still see a little bit of the blue down here and you want to get rid of it, let this dry a little bit more and then you can go back with another coat on top. I'm going to go back and add a little bit more yellow closer to inside the mouth. Around here. It's a little bit lighter. There's also a little bit more yellow on the sides right here. And some more yellow over here. But you just kind of play with that. Be sure it's kind of like sun rays where they're spurting out. Maybe adding more yellow to the bottom part, more red as you get higher up. Kind of messing with that idea. Perfect. Awesome. I'm going to wash and dry my big brush and put it off to the side. I'm going to go back to my small brush. I am going to add a little bit of black to it, and I'm going to add some teeth inside of my dragon's mouth. So small brush once you're done with the fire, and then you're going to start from the top and just add little lines coming down. I'll do 4 on top, then 4 on bottom. If your yellow's pretty wet still, maybe give it some time. 2, 3, 4. So there's a little bit of spacing. And then I do want to go on the back part of my dragon and add just some spikes, kind of starting, this is kind of the lump where the eyes are, so I'm going to go in there and just add some lines, coming down to a diagonal, like so. A little bit of a curve to them, small brush, working all the way down. So a little bit of spikes. Now the dragon's kind of coming together a little bit more. I would definitely let my black dry before I do this next step, but I'm going to kind of keep mine moving so you can see. But I've done all the spikes, again a little bit of a curve with my small brush. And then I'm going to wash and dry my small brush. Be sure your black is nice and dry. Mine's going to be wet because I'm just kind of moving mine along, but you are going to go in there and add a little bit of yellow to your small brush. And it does look like it's kind of outlined a little bit underneath. Mine's gonna smear, but yours shouldn't because yours should be dry. Outline underneath the chin a little bit. It's gonna follow that chin area. And then once you are done, you can go in there and add almost like little spikes coming in. So little spaces coming towards the dragon. You'll see those little spikes. And then I'm gonna add more yellow. I'm gonna outline the top kind of nose area. Come up and above the face, and it's coming a little bit down. And yours is gonna be nice and dry. Mine is working with that black because it's still wet, but be sure you give yours some time to dry where it's not so shiny anymore. And then over my spikes, I am gonna kind of make these light, yellow marks that are just kind of following the shape of those spikes that I just made. Maybe even one more to fill out that space. But I'm kind of going just over my spikes with the yellow to kind of make them show a little bit more. It's the light that's kind of behind your dragon. So above my spikes, I went in there and just added some yellow as well. And last but not least, you are gonna give your dragon an eye. So small brush, and underneath this kind of area where it dips up, I'm gonna come down just a little bit and almost like a football shape, where I'm gonna make that shape first, go underneath it, make that shape second, and then paint it all yellow. Again, my black paint is gonna be wet, yours should be nice and dry. And then make that football shape as well. If you've lost some of this yellow and you want some more yellow down here, you can also use the back of your small brush. You can go in there and make some dots as well. You can even kind of barely just kind of push out. So it looks like they're flying a little bit more. It's kind of going in all different directions. So the back of my brush, dipped it into the yellow. It's my small brush. I'm gonna push down and just kind of flick it just a little bit to add a little bit more yellow in there too. But that's absolutely optional. If you like your splatter the way that it looks, you're set. But otherwise, if you wanted to go in there and add more of little areas of kind of ashes or fire coming down, you can use the back of your brush to add more yellow. All right, artists, there is your awesome dragon painting. I hope you had a great time. Thank you so much for painting with us, and have a great day.